Welcome back everybody, hope you're doing well. In today's video we're making a new aquascape for my alien BETTA. Recently, because of a mistake that I made, I kind of had to destroy his tank. He deserves much better, so let's get started. Right, so this is the current situation of his aquarium. As you can see, it just doesn't look very good. Basically what happened was, a few weeks ago I temporarily had to rehome a small group of amber tetras. And this was kind of the only aquarium that had space, so I placed them in here, thinking that would be fine, they would all just get along. But you have to understand that Mr. Alien has been in this aquarium by himself for the past 6 months, and he only had a few Eleocharis and some shrimp as tank mates. So basically he had the whole tank to himself. So he definitely did not enjoy this new company. He was really like, his fins were constantly like pinched together. He wasn't really just, I could just see from him that he wasn't very happy. So I decided to just quickly remove the amber tetras. And by doing that, of course, I had to kind of destroy the layout because it was very difficult to catch them. So yeah, that's kind of the short story why we are rescaping this tank. It's been up and running for 6 months already, so it's kind of time for a new layout as well. So my plan is to do this rescape rather quickly and hopefully have Mr. Alien back in his new aquascape within a few hours. So I'm going to take him out, place him in a little jug with some water, and then while I'm doing the rescape, I'm going to reuse most of the substrate, and I'll also keep the filter running on a different setup in the meantime. So hopefully this way we can keep a lot of the beneficial bacteria alive. We don't really have to start the cycle all over again, and we shouldn't really have to worry about an ammonia spike. He is not happy, but it's only temporarily, buddy. So let's actually place him on the shelf, I think, just so he's away from all the noise and all the vibrations. So I'm just going to keep him here. Okay, Mr. Alien's over there, filter's up and running over there. So now we can really get to work. Let's start taking this tank down. Here we go, all clean, ready for a new layout. So just a quick recap of what I did. You guys first saw me remove all the plants and remove all the hardscape. After that I caught some of the fish. There were still 2 Eleocharis and 2 amber tetras in there, as well as a few shrimps, so I removed all of them. Then after that I filled the tank back up with water and I kind of cleaned the glass a little bit, cleaned the substrate a little bit, and then I siphoned out all that dirty water. And as a last step, I kind of cleaned up the edges of the glass. There was quite a lot of this hard watermarks or like calcium stains. So I took a little bit of vinegar, didn't really work. So I took a sharp blade and kind of went to town on those mineral deposits. So now the tank is looking pretty clean again and ready for a new layout. So what we have here is a 35 liters capers tank from Denla. And for all my viewers from the US, I think this tank holds roughly 9 US gallons. I'll put all the exact dimensions on the screen. Then the light is a Blade freshwater from Aqua Illumination. Still quite a new light, hasn't been released that long ago. I'll put all the specs on the screen as well. Then in terms of other equipment, of course there's going to be a BETTA setup, so we're also going to use a heater. Then earlier you already saw that small external canvas filter. That one is from Mini Complete Tank. If you want to know more about it, I'll leave a link in the video description, but you can also watch the previous BETTA build video. In that video I talk more about that mini filter. And then we're going to use CO2 as well. And for that we're going to use this DIY system that I reviewed a couple months ago. It's been up and running the entire time, up until now basically, and then we're still pushing CO2 out, so it actually lasts quite long. Not sure how long, but yeah, a couple months. So we're going to use this one, we're going to empty it and refill it and use it again. So there's 2 things I want to try for this new layout. First of all, I want to try to create a nice aquascape with mostly red plants. I already made a sort of like a red plants Dutch stylescape a long time ago. It was quite nice, didn't really work out as I had intended, but still looked pretty good. The second thing I want to try is this plant right here, the Utricularia graminifolia. I think this is one of the most difficult freshwater plants. I tried it once, didn't really work out, but I think with this new setup I'm gonna give it a go again. So we're gonna have a green carpet in the foreground, and then behind that we're gonna have mostly red plants. And then for the hardscape, I'm going to be using black lava rock. So my idea is to have a lot of red plants, and there are really dark contrasting black lava rocks, and then a blue Mr. Alien kind of swimming in between that. So I think that's going to look really good. Let's give it a try. Now we already have a decent amount of substrate in the tank, and this stuff is full of beneficial bacteria. Later on I'm going to cover it with more aquasoil, but I think I first want to start working on the hardscape. Once all the rocks are in, we can cover it with a nice fresh layer of aquasoil. Now I have to be honest with you and say that at this point I have no idea what I'm doing. When it comes to making a rock only layout, I'm just not very good at it. I like using wood and rocks, but sometimes you just have to step out of your comfort zone and just do something else. So I'm going for a rock only layout, and I'm just placing things in, just seeing how they look and just making adjustments as we go. So right now, for example, this big rock is kind of tilting that way, while all the other rocks are more going that way. So I think if we just move this one more in this direction as well, see, that already looks a little bit better, but we're still far from the end result. So let me just get a little creative and hopefully I can come up with something nice. Here we go. I think that looks pretty good. On camera it does look a little bit flat, but I think once we add in more substrate and we keep that elevation towards the back, it should look better. Now at the moment I have quite a big rock, quite a large rock supporting this one, and that leaves very little room for planting. So I think I'm gonna swap this one out for a smaller one, and then we should be good. Okay, hardscape is done. Pretty simple, but I think it looks nice, especially once all the plants are in and kind of the idea that I have in my head. I think it's gonna look really good. So the next step is to add in more substrate, because the current substrate layer is quite dirty, it's quite dusty as well. So it's just nice to cap it with a fresh layer just to keep it clean, but also to add in a little bit more nutrients. I mean, this current substrate layer is already like 6 months old, so most of the nutrients are kind of depleted. So it's just nice to add a fresh layer. And the fresh layer that I'm going to be adding is this stuff right here. It's aquasoil from Dental Plants. They've actually released this a few months ago, so it's still quite new. This is the first time I'm going to be using it, so yeah, very curious about the results. Okay, substrate layers in, it's looking good. So that means we can now move on to planting. Of course, as always, plants for this project are sponsored by Dental Plants. And besides the carpet, I've basically selected plants that will grow a reddish or a brownish tint. So let's see, we got this one. I've been using this one a lot lately, the Crypt Legroy. This one is like light brown. We have some Hygrophila araguaia, Hygrophila pinnatifida, of course the AR Mini. Very curious about this one, Buceflandera Red Scorpio. Never used this one before. And then I've got two stem plants as well, the Rotala Aitra and Ludwigia Blustrous Super Red. Let me just quickly prepare these plants and then we can start planting. This is such a unique plant. Yeah, fingers crossed this plant will work. I'm not very confident about it, but I think this plant is doesn't really like nitrates, so we have to keep the nitrates very low. So yeah, let's try it out. Okay, plants are all prepared, and I also just took a few minutes just to make like a little planting map. I wasn't entirely sure yet which plants are going to go where, and yeah, these labels just really help you find the best location, you know. Okay, let's start with the UG. Now my initial plan was to just have it in the foreground, but I'm actually thinking to have it going all the way in the center, all the way towards the back. I think that will actually look pretty cool. Now I was told to plant them quite deeply because they really tend to float up, so that's what I'm gonna do. And I was also wrong about what I said earlier about this plant not really tolerating nitrates. That's actually not true. Apparently they just don't like ammonia. So hopefully, because we already have the established filter, because we already kind of have the established substrate, we shouldn't really have any ammonia spike in here. Okay, so that was one pot of the UG in. Let's move on to the Crypt. So this one is not really like red or anything, but after a little while it will turn a nice brown color, just for some nice details. Okay, then we have a little bit more space to the sides, just before we get to the background stem plants basically. And there I'm gonna plant the Hygrophila pinnatifida. Now normally this is mostly used as an epiphyte, but it actually does quite well if you just plant it in the substrate as well. Okay, and over here I have a nice gap for the Puseflandera. So this is the Puseflandera Red Scorpio. Very curious about this one. And lastly, of course, we have our stem plants. So we'll do the Ludwigia Super Red first. Now this one came from a pot, so it's actually quite long. Most of the other plants were in vitro, so they're very small. So it might look a little bit silly in the beginning, but yeah, this plant will actually provide some cover for Mr. Alien, which I'm sure he will enjoy. And lastly, on the other side, the Rotala Atra. So yeah, same thing, quite long at the moment, but that's actually good. It's close to the light, so it will start growing fast. Just get the aquarium balanced again. Okay, planting is done. Of course, it looks a little bit rough right now, but I think in a few weeks from now, this is actually going to look pretty cool. Of course, if everything works out and nothing starts melting. Everything is quite densely planted, so that's good. Apart from the UG, I've basically just used one pot. I do have one more, but I'm thinking to kind of keep that one, reserve it. And if something goes wrong with this plant, I can always take it out and replace it with a fresh one. So yeah, I think that's it. We can now move the aquarium back into the corner, fill it with water, install all the equipment. And then in a few hours, I can release Mr. Alien into his new home. Hopefully he will like it. And then within a few minutes, you guys are going to see how this aquarium looks 3 weeks from now. Well, you really can't make this up. The one time I don't glue my hardscape together, I end up with a floating rock. Of course, I kind of knew that this would happen. I mean, lava rocks are just very porous and sometimes you get some air trapped inside them. And then this happens. We can fix it though. I'm just gonna place a rock on top of this rock. Okay, fast forward, it has now actually been 2 months since I rescaped this tank. So normally I like to wait 2, maximum 3 weeks before I kind of finish the video and show you guys the end result. This time it took a little bit longer because I had to wait for the UG carpet to grow in, and that has been a real struggle. The problem with this plant is that it doesn't grow any roots, so it's super delicate and like any small motion can already uproot it, you know? So it's been a real struggle, and right now it's becoming close to getting a full carpet, but I actually don't like it anymore. I don't like how this plant looks. So I'm thinking of taking everything out and actually replacing it with sand. So as you can see, we have a decent clump here. I've actually trimmed that a few days ago, but over here on the side, it's still not really dense. On this side as well, you can see that it's also like just becoming detached again. And over here on the left side, there's actually some blue-green algae mixed into the carpet as well. So it's just not doing great. And also, like the color, I don't actually like the color of this plant. It's very light green, almost more close to yellow. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't really look that good in my opinion. And what I do like about this scape is these 2 rocks over here. As you can see, they kind of got completely covered in Fissidens moss. I did not expect that to happen, but these rocks were actually used in a previous layout. Some of my long-term subscribers might remember it. And that layout was completely filled with Fissidens moss. And even though these rocks were outside for like a whole year, somehow the moss still survived and started to grow back. So that's pretty cool. It's now also starting to spread to some of the other rocks. You can see a little bit in the back over there. Some of it on this rock over here as well. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's do this. Let's remove the UG. I'll siphon out some of the aquasoil as well, and then we can replace it with sand. Now this might seem like a bit of a waste to some people, but the UG was very much just an experiment. I mean, now I know how this plant grows and what it needs, so I can use this experience for future projects. Yeah, I think it will just look much better with sand as well, so let's do this. Okay, a few hours have passed, the water's cleared up nicely, and I think that looks so much better. Really happy with that. I've also added some small gravel just for a little bit more detail. So basically that's the aquascape done. The only thing I want to do now is I want to give Mr. Alien a few more friends. I mean, he didn't enjoy the company of the amber tetras, but sometimes I do feel like he's a little bit lonely. I mean, he has the whole tank to himself. It's quite a big tank as well, so I want to add in a few shrimp. Over here I got a small group of the green jade Neocaridina shrimp. So they're like black, almost green. I've used them as well in the XXL vase, and I think they will suit this aquascape as well. He's not going to eat them. He's just gonna, he will maybe try chasing them, but he's not going to eat the shrimp. So they'll just kind of keep him entertained, I guess. So that is this build video completed. Really hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.